Welcoming traveler. Get ready to level up in fantasy football.
Hey, what is happening, everybody? Another exciting episode of the Fantasy Football RPG Podcast, number 52, coming at you. That's the amount of weeks that there are in a year, so that's kind of cool. But tonight I am sitting down with a few of our good friends. We got Evan in the house tonight. We got Eric back with us. Mike Kashuba back in the house, as always. And we got a friend joining us, a newcomer to the RPG Podcast. Mr. Josh Plummer. How you doing, man?
What's up, guys? How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Of course. Yeah, we got let know that Eric was talking to you and you wanted to come on. So we're always happy to have newcomers here on the RPG Podcast. So yeah, do you want to take a minute and let people know like what you're all about, fantasy football experience, what you like to do in your spare time, all that good stuff?
Sure, man. Yeah, and by talking with Eric, I think he means helping me draft the 80% of my team. So I hope I'm in good hands.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Eric helped you? Jeez.
No, honestly, man, it's my experience is pretty mediocre. I'm always a middle of the pack guy. I've been playing on and off for about 15 years or so. We started doing it for no money in high school, and those are the only times I would win. When money is on the line, I seem to always screw it somehow. But yeah, I actually got an invite back into the league this year after a hiatus last year. And we can get into this later when we talk about the other stuff. But we had a guy get the boot from the league for not completing a punishment. So I was the one to step in and just be like, yeah, I'll play again. So. We're a full PPR 12-man league, and I think we just got rid of kickers last year, I guess. So nice. yeah.
What was the punishment, if you don't mind me asking, that someone didn't do?
I he might see this, so I want to be nice about it. But
okay, fair enough.
The viral sensation, which was the 24 hours in a Waffle House, was the thing.
Oh, so, yeah.
So it's intense, but the way that we did it was I was like, dude, it's miserable. Can I curse on here, by the way?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I was like, dude, it's absolute dog shit to have to sit in a Waffle House for 24 hours. I'm like, I would be losing my fucking mind. So I said, look, you beat me in the regular season fair and square. Like, why don't I come in there? I'll help you bang out like 5-6 waffles. We'll hang out. We'll talk some shit. And then the other guys in the league were like, yeah, I'll help do that too. So really, he was only looking at about maybe a third of the day. So, just 8 hours, throw your laptop on the counter, order some smothered and covered hash browns and shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? It seemed pretty simple, but he didn't do it. Then played the following season on a, I guess, probationary period. And we're hoping that he was going to complete it. He did not. And then he ended up not completing the punishment by the time the next season's punishment had already taken place and completed. So they gave him the old heave-ho.
It sounds like they gave him a lot of wiggle room there, a lot of leeway. But yeah, man, you got to do your punishments. Our home league is you have to watch. It's not that like intense, but you have to watch like a really bad movie, not like a bad movie where it's so bad it's good, like a bad movie, and then write a. I think we increased the word count by 500 words every year, and now it's up to a 3,000 word essay on that bad movie for everyone to read. So it's a time commitment for sure, but I haven't been as bad enough to win that as a punishment quite yet, but we shall see. But great. That sounds awesome that you were able to get in there, even through the turmoil. That guy not doing the punishment. But Eric was also telling me you do some music stuff. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, man. I just do like, the cover work mostly out at bars and restaurants, breweries, things like that. So I play pretty regularly throughout the Pinellas County area in Florida, Tampa, St. Pete, and I'll do some live streaming stuff in the house every once in a while. But I'm on the DL a little bit. I got some vocal stuff going on, so I'm trying to treat that and get a little healthier so it can be a little easier to sing and everything. It's an acid reflux issue that ends up like really killing the range and the control and everything. But yeah, I mean, we took this week off of recording and releasing any music, but I think we're gonna get back to it next year when I find a big bag of money somewhere. Hopefully in football.
Yeah, there you go with your football winnings.
I'll throw it into the studio funds. But yeah, just
very cool, man.
Got a couple things out there. Josh Plummer music on Instagram and everything, and sometimes I'll post something mildly offensive and humorous rather than music. So I'm a jack of all trades, you know.
Very cool. Well, I'll definitely I'll check your stuff out 100%. I'm always looking for new music stuff. Eric and I like to go back and forth with music because our tastes line up pretty well for the most part.
Yeah, Eric's got great taste.
Yeah, for the most part. There's some stuff in there where I'm like, all right, Eric. And I think it's reciprocated too. Sometimes I'll send some stuff Eric's way and he's like, I don't know. I'm like a big metalhead, so like we line up in like some metal genres, but I think I go a little more onto the extremes than Eric generally does.
Sure.
I think Eric's dog is on my side of things.
Sounds like it.
Okay. Well, awesome, man. I'm happy to have you. We've got some questions that you have sent to us that we will help you answer. We are all here just completely degenerate in our fantasy football. Like I'm up to 30 leagues that I'm like actively in. I think I run most of those as the commissioner. So I have my work cut out for me for sure. I think we are all kind of gravitating in and around the 20 to 30 number. I might be off on some count for some of these folks, but
who's got the most out of the four of you?
It's probably me. I don't know. Yeah. Do you guys beat 30? Any of you?
Does best ball count?
I don't think it counts, right?
If best ball doesn't count, then no. If best ball does count, I'm afraid to say my number out loud. So.
Yeah, if best ball counts, then it's more than 30.
Yeah.
What is best ball?
So best ball, the computer will set your lineup for you week to week. So all you have to do is draft, which is like the perfect like redraft scenario for me. Like I can keep drafting all summer long. I can draft the players I like. I can adjust to news. So with that, I think I'm in the hundreds. But you can do like $1 or $2 drafts. So like I'm sitting there during a meeting.
That's true. Yeah.
I don't feel like listening to what they're talking about. I'll do a little underdog draft, which, hey, use code Mike K1 at sign up, get $100 deposit. But
that is still the biggest tragedy of Washington State, where I live, that we don't have underdog. It is criminal. I hate it so much.
Oh, you don't?
Yeah. Washington gambling laws are so jacked up. Like we can sports gamble, but only if we are in one of the like native casinos. Like that's the only. There's like a geolocate. Basically, and when you are inside of the casino, you can do it. But if you're not, then you can't. Just lame. I do have a casino pretty close to my house. It's just, I can't go over there and sports bet because then I'll also, sit down at the blackjack table and lose a couple $100.
Yeah, fast.
Yeah. So, but awesome. So yeah, we'll get into a little more of your questions that you had a little bit later. We do have a couple things to talk about though before we launch into week 1 of the NFL, guys. I know we've been feasting on some college football. That's been real nice to have, but NFL football starts in 2 days on Thursday with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Detroit Lions. What a game for that to start out with, by the way. That's going to be awesome. I've been floating out there in the Twitter sphere that I'm bold taking right now. I did it before the Kelsey news, by the way, which we'll talk about in a second. I'm bold betting right now that the Lions are going to end up winning this game. I have a good feeling.
Okay.
I just think they have a lot of momentum coming into the season. The Chiefs are looking like they won't have Chris Jones, right? That's his name. Their star edge. And yeah, I have a good feeling about this Lions team. But speaking on that, I guess we could just get into Travis Kelce, who hyperextended his knee today, right on the eve of football season kicking off. It's just kind of the worst timing ever. Doesn't sound like they are thinking it's a long-term injury, but week 1 in doubt. And I guess, I mean, do we want to get in a little bit of your guys' heartbeat on like our fear for Kelsey going forward? Is anyone scared that he's going to miss more than 1 week? Show of hands, Mike?
Well, just real quick, I'm going to hit it. I was following the Twitter doctor. Somebody followed every person that's had a hyperextended knee in their career. Some it's 1 week. Most it's 2. Some it's like a month and a half. So the Chiefs are in no rush to get him back. Like they're thinking Super Bowl bound and everything else. They're not worried about winning week 1 against the Lions. So I could see them putting him on ice for 2 or 3 weeks. So thank goodness we didn't draft running backs in the first round and we drafted Travis Kelce all summer because, running backs are so injury prone and tight ends are so safe. But here we are.
Yeah, the safest tight end. Literally the safest tight end that you could bet on gets injured before week 1 starts. Isn't that classic fantasy football? Ain't that just the way? But yeah, no, I am kind of on that track too. I don't think they'll rush him back. And I have to especially consider the fact that, what have we been saying about Travis Kelce for years now? It's like, oh, he's getting older. He's getting older. How much longer can he keep this up? Like, is this it? Is this the injury fall off that was bound to happen for Travis Kelce? I don't know. I guess we'll see. Evan, you look not so into you think he's going to bounce back strong?
Oh yeah, I mean he's the best.
Couple more years.
Fantasy. He's the best tight end in fantasy. He's the only one that gives you that positional advantage week in and week out. Undeniable positional advantage. And you look at week 2 and they play the Jags. That's a team that could be fighting them for the end of the year playoff positioning. So it's going to be an important game early in the year. Do they try and rush him back for it? Don't know, but if he's 90%, I bet you he's in that game.
It is kind of funny to think about that. Even if he misses like the first 3 games, he'll probably still be the tight end 1 in fantasy by a pretty wide margin. That's kind of gross. But okay, we talked enough about Travis Kelce. Let's talk about another tight end. George Kittle, injured again. Isn't this kind of the routine now for Mr. George Kittle? Very unfortunate. He also just has a string of injuries behind him at this point. Now he injures his groin, which I think is a new one. I don't think I've saw groin injury specifically on him before, so that sucks because it just piles up even more the laundry list here. It's unfortunate. That one doesn't seem like it's as serious. I don't think that he's in like a lot of danger of are we thinking he's going to miss week 1? I guess I missed the beat on this. Is that sort of what's being reported? Or is he looking like probable? You guys remember when there was probable?
Yeah. Now it's looking like a strong maybe.
Okay.
So they're going to throw the questionable tag on him. I mean, I'm a huge Steelers fan, so I'm going to hope that he misses time because I don't want anybody to have to cover him. But
imagine they don't have Kittle or Bosa in that game?
I can imagine
Happy camper. Yeah, you've been imagining it at night.
Yeah, and also TJ Watt's going against a 5th round tackle who has only played 4 games in his life. I feel good week 1.
Yeah. Okay.
I think there's some level for concern here, especially since he had a groin strain last year as well.
Oh, he did.
So,
okay.
So that's something to remember and monitor as well.
That's right. It was a groin strain. Yeah. Okay. That is fair enough. All right. Well, sucks for the Niners. As a Seahawks fan, you love to see it. As a guy that has George Kittle in multiple leagues, no. But moving on, the last injury here to talk about is this Cooper Kupp news that is incredibly unfortunate for Cooper Kupp owners. As you had this big ankle injury, and I think a lot of people were hoping that it was going to be like a kind of like a one and done. He loses the year, but he comes back strong the next season. And I was kind of always on the path of, I don't know, he's 30 years old, major ankle injury that could stack into other types of injuries. And now we're seeing repetitive hamstrings, and it doesn't look good for the 30-year-old wide receiver, guys. It's looking like he's going to miss week 1, almost certainly. Beyond that, I mean, it's a hamstring. Or like the likelihood of this just carrying on through the season is high at his age. So that is not good. And again, as a Seahawks fan, great. Their wide receiver 1 is now Van Jefferson. That's awesome. But as a fantasy football player that has a couple Cooper Kupp shares, not good. So I don't know if you guys are also in some sort of fear mode with Cooper Kupp, if at all, like if you even had any Cooper Kupp at this point. I know we're all pretty keen on not taking these older guys with high draft picks. So I don't think there's a ton of Cooper Kupps on our teams. But beyond that, I mean, anyone have some serious doubts about Cooper Kupp being healthy at all this season? Do we think it's a lost year, Eric?
I wouldn't say it's a lost year. I've been a little wary of Cooper Kupp, and with how high he's been going in drafts and things like that, I wanted him at a good value. But the Rams are so bereft of talent that at any chance Cooper Kupp has to get on the field, he's going to get you fantasy points. I almost see him right now as if there's a panicking Cooper Kupp owner who's out there in your league right now, taking maybe a chance to give a low ball offer and see if they'll give you Cooper Kupp. I still think you'll recoup value from him throughout the year for maybe a lower price tag if you can do that. But if I already own Cooper Kupp, I am a little nervous about it going forward.
What are you thinking is like a value offer for him right now? What would you be satisfied giving up for him?
If I could try to talk the Cooper Kupp owner in a dynasty league, if I could talk him into like taking Calvin Ridley and maybe a decent draft pick or something like that, if he's freaking out, something around those. I don't know if they would go that low on it, but if they're worried about his injury history and then they're all sold on Calvin Ridley and maybe getting a little bit of extra in it, could you justify that? Maybe.
It's tough, man. I like saying Calvin Ridley, who I am also not like, I'll admit not being super high on either, but I don't know. It's eking me out. I think I'd almost rather have Calvin Ridley.
Oh, wow. You'd rather have Ridley?
Yeah.
Oh, man,
I'm not, I wouldn't say 100%, but like it's getting there. I think.
I don't know. Sounds like a big gamble. All right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. Nice.
All right,
nice, Josh.
we'll let that one go.
Nice.
No. That's staying in. That was good. I appreciated that.
That is honestly better than any joke I've made on the show ever.
Absolutely.
It is kind of odd.
Not a high bar to clear.
Yeah. Sorry. Most of these are going to be jokes. I know very little about what I'm doing here, so I'll try to pepper in some humor.
All good. We were using some loaded language there, like dynasty and picks and stuff that I'm sure are sort of alien to you. You're not a big dynasty player, I figure.
No, I haven't ever done that. There are some talks about it in the basketball league. I'm more knowledgeable with basketball just because I know it. I've played it. I grew up with it, so I understand a little bit more about it. But it's been the dynasty idea and has been kicked around our league for a while, and it keeps getting put on the back burner year after year after year. Same thing with the keeper discussion. We keep talking about that. It never really fully comes to fruition. It always gets outvoted, and we end up. I think a lot of it is because we have guys that don't complete their punishments, and guys like me who are like, I'm going to take a year off, and just not worry about it. So it's hard to kind of do that when the league is so, I guess, up and down and inconsistent with who's in it at all times. And it grew from 10 to 12, I think about 5-6 years ago. So we've stayed at 12 for a while, but it's been a different 12, I think, for the past 4 years or so.
Dynasty is definitely more of a commitment. That is for sure. It's year long. Yeah. It's one of those things where you are paying attention to off-season news and having to adjust to that. You do the rookie draft every year, so you're constantly like changing your team up from what it was the year prior. It's a lot of fun though. Most of my leagues are dynasty. I think that's the same for all these guys besides Mike and his thousands of best ball leagues that he's in. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Definitely recommend it. Does take a little more commitment though. But yeah, going through those injuries, I mean, there's a couple other injuries here. I know, Evan, you were kind of listing the other injuries of guys that are tagged questionable right now. I don't know how much of these we want to go through, though, because it sounds like Eric might be doing an injury lowdown show on Friday. Eric?
That's the plan. If you're looking for your injury news, tune in on Friday. I'll do a little short snippet and maybe look for a player or two that you might want to grab if we know they're going to be out.
You got a name for this show yet?
I haven't even gotten that far yet. I try to think of something other that's on the spot.
Ouchies with Eric Watts.
I think we should go with not a Dr. Watts.
Ooh, that's pretty good.
Not a Dr. Watts. Oh man, I like that.
Questionable takes with Eric.
Went from hot takes to questionable takes. Disagree.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look forward to that, guys. That'll be dropping. And Eric will give you all the news updates about the injuries going into the weekend. But besides that, I mean, any other news you guys want to hit before we get into these appropriately named Josh questions?
I have one. I have one pre-question, I guess.
Oh,
asking for a friend, totally unrelated. How are we feeling about Jerry Judy's hammy?
Ooh,
I didn't feel good about it.
It's looking like he's going to miss at least week 1, probably week 2, maybe week 3. Just something about
possibly
soft
week
tissue
4,
injuries.
could be week 5.
Something about soft
maybe
tissue
week 6.
injuries in the preseason. Not my vibe. He'll have a really strong December once your fantasy teams are 0-12. So that'll be good.
All right, I'll make sure to let my friend who drafted him know.
Yeah. He'll drop him in a couple of weeks, and then you can scoop him up once he starts doing good.
Perfect.
Yeah. Because that wasn't you, Josh, that drafted him.
No, absolutely not. Couldn't have been. I would never have done something so silly.
No way. Okay. Well, yeah, I double what Mike said. It might be a while. And then, I mean, hammy before the season started could always flare up again. I'm very glad to not have a lot of Jerry Jeudy in my life. But okay, that was a pre-question. Let's get into the post question. No, just the question. So Josh, you come to us with your hat in hand as a Bucks fan, which my condolences. Double my condolences because they are not starting the better QB in Kyle Trask. I am so sorry for that.
Yeah, that's okay.
But yeah, so given your Bucks fandom, you wanted to know our thoughts fantasy wise on these Bucks players. We are the Kyle Trask fan cast, mostly a joke, but also kind of. We have a mug about him on our merch store, so we got that going for us. But besides our Lord and Savior Kyle Trask, I for one, I'll go first. I like Chris Godwin in fantasy. I think he will be a guy, especially because the price is built in with him being on the Bucks. You can get him relatively cheap. And with Mike Evans being kind of on the older side and sustaining injuries himself, I think Chris Godwin could be in line for some serious work, especially garbage time points. And I like him as that wide receiver 3 kind of guy if you can grab him there. And I know Mike has some love for the starting running back for the Bucks. If you want to talk to him, Mike.
Yeah, so I think that there's a secret to fantasy football that shouldn't really be a secret. Like the RB1s are all normally in really good offenses. You're talking about like guys they're either rushing for a bunch of touchdowns or catching a lot of passes. Like those are guys that are getting volume and stats. The RB like 13 to 28 range is either guys on good offenses not getting that much volume or guys on really, really bad offenses that are just getting all of the touches. Think like Damian Pierce last year. That's what Rachaad White's going to be this year. And he's currently going outside the top 24 running backs in ADP. So I think he's a steal wherever you can get him, and being a Bucks homer, like it's probably a good guy to have on your roster. We'll go into that a little bit later, but I like him. And I really like his backup too. He was one of my favorite running backs coming into the draft, and he only fell because of medicals. I'm talking about Sean Tucker and his heart problem. Heart problem's cleared. So if Rachaad White goes down, Sean Tucker is a more than capable human being right there. So I'm really excited.
I will double that. I also, and I think even Evan was a Sean Tucker fan pre-draft before all the injury news came out about his heart issue. He seems to be like a very explosive athlete. And the fact that he was an undrafted free agent and then just shot up the depth chart to the number 2 running back is pretty encouraging. Could be kind of a sneaky, like thunder lightning. I don't know if it's thunder lightning because they're both, they're not like one big, one small kind of guys, but it could be like a nice little 1-2 punch for the Bucks. I'm just afraid of the running game in general for the Bucks. That is my overall hesitation because I don't think they're going to be a good offense. So I don't think they're going to score a lot of points. Sorry to say. But fantasy football, you're trying to get points, fantasy points, not touchdowns. And so if they do pepper Rachaad White with targets, if Sean Tucker can power a couple through to the end zone, then you basically got White for pretty cheap, and you got Sean Tucker for free. Like he's like a last round kind of guy that you can just kind of lotto ticket. So yeah, anyone else you guys can think of that you like here, Eric?
So this is kind of a dislike, but I do like Kyle. I know we joke about it, but I do like Kyle Trask. So Baker's obviously going to start off the season, right? So he'll play. I think the Bucs will middle around a little bit. I think you're going to see them have a losing record, but they're not going to be like Arizona Cardinals, Rams bad. But at some point towards midway through the season, I think they're going to realize they have no shot, that this is not the year, and they need to talent evaluate. And so they're going to put Baker on the sideline, and they're going to say, we're going to see what we have in Kyle Trask. We need to decide whether Kyle Trask is a guy going forward, or if Kyle Trask is someone we're going to have to replace to look in this next draft to have to draft somebody. So I think somewhere around week 7, week 8, you might start to get that Kyle Trask vibes. And I believe that Mike has a comment on that as well.
I love the call out of a week 8. So November 5th, you can book your calendar right now. The Buccaneers play the Texans. If the Buccaneers do not beat the Texans that game, Kyle Trask is starting November 12th against the Titans. Like that is a must-win game for Baker Mayfield.
That's a good call.
I like that.
Is there any chance he gets pulled before that, you guys think?
Ooh, that's a good question.
If they start absolute booty cheeks and don't win any games through the first 5 or 6 weeks, he's going to be playing so bad that they're just going to be like, screw it, season's over, just throw Kyle Trask in. But I don't think they will be that bad right off the start.
See, I'm conflicted on that because I hear what you're saying. That's logical and all, but they might also just say, let's stick with Baker and let's go get a top 3 pick next year and go get Caleb or Drake May. And if you put Trask in, you're gonna win every game after that, and they won't get a top 3 draft pick, and they won't get Caleb Williams or Drake May. No, but I hear what you're saying. Joking aside. That is likely. I think if they start out really badly, they'll just see what Kyle Trask has. I also, no wishing this or anything like that. I would never wish an injury, but Baker Mayfield has been known to put his body on the line for plays. And if he gets injured, yeah, it's going to be a lot of Kyle Trask, like it or not. So he is a guy that, if you're playing in, sorry to bring it back to Dynasty, but for us fellows in Dynasty leagues, if you have a taxi squad that allows for year 1 and year 2 players, I have some Kyle Trask sitting on my taxi squad still, just kind of ripening. And I think that could definitely be something you see later.
Real quick, Corey, I kind of disagree with where you're going with that because I think this season goes one of 2 ways. Either Baker is surprisingly good and the Bucs somehow are towards the top of the division and Baker keeps the job, or we all think they're not good, and then they have to decide whether they have to draft a quarterback next year, which then you want to see if Trask is that guy or not.
I do want to throw one thing out there real quick. Sorry to just interrupt, but what if Baker's this year's Geno? I say that November 5th game is a must-win game, but he's tied to great weapons. He has succeeded in the past. The Browns have won 1 playoff game since Y2K, and Baker was the starting quarterback for that. There's a chance.
There is. And I think that's why there's only 2 ways the seasons can go, which is Baker's good and he keeps it the whole year, or Baker's not good and the Bucs are bad and they have to see what they have in Trask. Evan, did you have something?
The main difference right now that you have to remember is the Seahawks offensive line and running game is exponentially better than the Bucs offensive line and running game will be. He's not going to be Geno. It's not happening. Sorry.
What do you want? You want to water bet something?
What do you want to water bet? Let's go.
Baker Mayfield. I think Baker Mayfield plays more than 14 games this season.
Ooh. Evan, take that. Take that action.
Come on, Evan.
I would take that.
You need to get some water bets on the board too. So
over 14, so he has to play 15 or more.
Yeah, we'll put the line 14.5.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take the under on 14.5.
Deal.
Put it on the board.
Handshake. Put it on the board, baby.
What is a water bet for my newbie ass in here.
So waterbed, I think, is something that originated on the Fantasy Footballers. Or I don't know if it originated there, but it's where I heard about it, and I think where most of these guys heard about it. Fantasy Footballers podcast. It basically is just a bet that we make. It's usually like, season long, or I guess it could be like week to week, but basically whoever wins the water bet, we haven't actually like proceeded through what that means for us, but it has something to do with water, and the winner, I think, gets to decide what the loser does in terms of either getting a bucket of water dumped on their head or having to chug enough water to kill them, or I'm not really sure.
It's the water bet sponsored by Liquid Death.
Right.
We decided losers taking a shot on the next sloppy cast.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So that's a spicy water bet, is what that is. That's spicy water.
Mm-hmm.
That was for our hot takes episode.
Yeah.
Oh, and for anybody out there who's listening, if you want to follow all the water bets that we make throughout the year, go follow the Fantasy Football RPG Pod water bets on the Twitter X thing.
I'm almost thinking we have to rebrand that now, because if we take shots, then it's not really a water bet.
There's water in it.
There's water in it. I guess that's true.
So,
okay.
As an outsider who will be watching this bet now, are we talking 14.5 overall games, or are we talking if he gets injured, that's out the window, or if he gets pulled, that's out the window? Is it 14.5 no matter what?
So, we didn't cover this. Normally we do injury protections. So Evan, okay. I would hope you extend the courtesy that if he gets hurt, it doesn't count. It goes away.
Don't do it, Evan. You got him over a barrel.
You got him over a barrel.
But
all right, Mike, I'm assuming you'll be gracious in the future to me here as well.
Yeah, no, I'll owe you one. But no, so it's 14.5. If he plays 15, I win the bet. If he plays 14, Evan wins the bet. If he plays less than that, Evan also wins the bet. So there's really not a lot of outcomes where I'm winning this, but
this is how you get like good trading or betting partners, though. Is you're very gracious with your selections. You don't hold people over a barrel.
It's about building relationships.
Totally, yeah, and making you, drink too much until you throw up or whatever. Yeah, cheers. I'm actually not drinking tonight. I got a yerba mate, which is like a caffeinated tea. That's what I'm drinking. I need it. I'm tired. Okay, let's keep moving through this. That was all the standout players I think we see from the Bucks. I know that they have some other wide receivers, a couple of rookies, but I don't know if they're really worth talking about for a fantasy football perspective, unless, Eric, you have a sneaky one?
No, just really quick. I just want to comment that none of us brought up Mike Evans, and I think that's kind of wild.
I mean, yeah, it's just weird, man. He'll probably have 1,000 yards again, right? But he's already like pre-injured. Not sure if it's a real injury or just like a contract injury. And he's also getting up there in age, and he has had injuries in the past, like specifically soft tissue ones. So it's tough. Will he keep up the streak? I mean, he has thus far. I couldn't bet on it personally.
Josh, do you think he keeps up the 1,000-yard streak?
I don't know, man. I from what I've been seeing, and this is just, I only really know a surface level of it, but it seems like it is going to be a contract thing. And I saw a letter, I think, from his agent to, I think, the fans. They were explaining that they're working hard to find something that's fair. Mike's intentions were to come here to win a Super Bowl, to be essentially to be a Ring of Honor guy for this team. And they did not come back with a long-term and I guess a market value deal for him. So given his history and what he's done for the team, I don't have a problem with him. Believe me, there's been way worse guys on this team in the last, however long, 10 years since he's been here. And he's been a pretty regular, a staple in this offense. And I think that a holdout on him is only, elongating the suffering. I think you got to reward loyalty. And I mean, we don't have a lot of it anymore, but I think that's just part of it.
Does it almost seem like if they give Evans like a longer term contract, that almost looks like a belief in Baker to me, of like you want to keep an older veteran guy around for Baker Mayfield?
I think the holdout definitely ties to that because obviously there's not ever going to be an issue with Brady finding a weapon like that. But I think there are some concerns as to how he will be able to, I guess keep his frustrations to a minimum this year. He might not get the ball. He might not. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of things to say about Baker Mayfield, and I don't think a lot of them in Bucs fans' eyes are positive. But one of the things that is positive is his ability to kind of shake things up and run around a little bit. And I don't know if that's where Mike Evans is the best version of himself. I don't know.
Well, I think it's also super important to remember for Mike Evans inside of himself, if he gets a 10,000-yard season, he's going to tie Randy Moss for the second most 1,000-yard seasons.
Wow.
Yeah, that is significant. I have to imagine he desperately wants that accolade. So we shall see. I did see, I think it was yesterday, some sort of sleeper update, I think, where it was like a deal looks like it is basically done between Evans and the Bucs, that they're both happy with. Again, kind of an unverified source, but we'll see what happens with him. I am expecting him to get at least, another year or two with them, but we shall see. Okay, well, let's go ahead and keep trucking here. We have another question here. Josh was wondering about household names to avoid. I can definitely think of a couple here, but I want to know if you guys have any off the top of your head. Right off the top of mine, OBJ, I feel like is a household enough name where a lot of people that don't like necessarily watch a lot of football, don't really like pay attention to the news and stuff, they see Odell Beckham Jr. and go, oh yeah, that was a guy. Don't draft him. He's not. Don't do it. He's older now. He has destroyed both of his knees, and he is on a notoriously low passing volume offense. Don't get trapped. Avoid OBJ unless you are, trading him for literally nothing. If you just want to like acquire a guy because you're desperate and you don't have to give like anything in return, sure. If someone drops him and he's on the waiver and you really just have a completely empty spot, okay. I think there's other guys out there maybe that you can pick up over him, but besides that, don't do it. Anyone else have one?
So I'm going to go and make Eric upset here and say DJ Moore.
Oh, Eric has left the building.
DJ Moore will not be a top 20 wide receiver this year.
Ooh, that's pretty bold. I wish you had done that on the Bull Take episode that we had. That's spicy.
Eric, hit him with a water bet.
Fields' passing volume is not high enough, nor is he efficient enough of a passer.
Real quick, do you eat soup if you don't have a spoon?
Yeah, I mean, if it's chicken noodle, you can at least use a fork and get the noodles.
You're not going to eat soup if you don't. You're not going to eat soup if you don't. You're not going to eat soup if you don't have a spoon. You're not going to pass the ball a lot if you don't have DJ Moore. Of course,
Wrong.
The passing volume was low.
Wrong. You can slurp. You can only slurp a soup.
All right. Never mind then.
Mike, do you not take a bowl and just like tilt it?
I do at the end, but
a better question is if you
I'd rather have DJ Moore scoop it into my mouth for me. Phrasing.
Yeah.
Evan,
everyone would take that.
Top 25 wide receiver PPR this year.
I literally just said he won't be a top 20, Eric. So
I know.
top 20
Top 25. Give me top 25.
And I'm saying top 20.
Top 22.
No, top 20.
21.
20, Eric.
Eric's just trying to get a nickel or dime here.
This is how Eric deals with trades in fantasy football.
Yeah, he's definitely
20 and a half.
Yeah.
Fine.
It's like,
fine.
no, sorry, Eric. This trade
Eric.
isn't close even a little bit. I'll throw in Hassan Haskins.
Don't make me pull up a comment from what's his face who said Eric, you have the most fair trades I've ever dealt with. I was like, thank you. I need to tell everybody. I'm gonna put that on top 20. Injury clause though. If he's injured,
of course. Yeah, if he's injured, it doesn't count.
Was that from your burner account, Eric, that said that about you?
Correct.
Little Kevin Durant over here. I like it.
We are just we're getting in the pool. We're taking a dip in the water bets here, guys. It's so firing off
right now.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone? I mean, that was fiery. Anyone else have a household name to avoid, Mike?
I've got one, but it's less cool now.
Oh, I have two, and they're very, very fun. One is Patrick Mahomes. Right now, where he's going in redraft leagues, what in the Kentucky Fried Frick are we doing, people? Like, we're taking Patrick Mahomes as the number 12 player in one quarterback leagues. He's not going to finish as the number one quarterback this year. He's probably going to finish in the 3 to 4 range, which is amazing. Like, he's safe, he's comfortable, he's a warm blanket at quarterback, but like, you can get Justin Fields or, Justin Herbert, the Justins that I love, way later. And
Big Justin fan.
Just the opportunity cost for what you're giving up for him in a redraft league right now, it's not what you need. So I would avoid Patrick Mahomes purely because of cost, not because of talent. I would avoid Deebo Samuel for a lot of reasons. He only had 2 usable weeks last year. And for some reason, after a wide receiver 41 finish, and now he has a hurt quarterback, he's going as the wide receiver 19. Don't draft Deebo Samuel.
Above the better wide receiver on his team, by the way. With
Brandon Ayuk finishes a wide receiver 15. He had like 10 usable weeks, and he's going 20 slots lower. So, Josh, if you have Deebo on your team, I'm sorry, but we're going to give you sweet.
I dodged Deebo, but I did have I don't know if Eric filled you guys in or not, but we had a last minute shakeup in the draft time, and I was out in Montana over the weekend, and I had Ayuk queued up in case the service went out, and I think I just missed him, and things like when I got service back, we'll get into it later, but I
what,
had a couple
what is that?
Wasn't really happy about.
I guess we'll talk about it later, but like, what kind of clown show just reschedules the draft and doesn't get unanimous approval?
So it wasn't necessarily like a full on reschedule, like whoops. Okay. It was most of us are kind of, we're loosey goosey about it. I was okay with it because I'm like, all right, I'm gonna I'm sorry. Yeah, this can't go anywhere. Oh my God. No, I love you, Kamish. It's just one of those things that, we're all busy guys, a lot of busy lives. And I had, it was a half-hour shift, and that half hour on Labor Day might not mean anything to a lot of people that are just kind of fucking off and drinking by the pool or whatever, or waiting to finish the draft to do so. I was out of town. So I woke up to that news, and I was like, oh shit, we're traveling back from Big Sky to head to Bozeman to get to the airport. And there's a long stretch on that drive, maybe like 25, 30 minutes where there's no signal. So I was like, please God, I'm hoping that all these people are like very unsure of what they're going to pick, and they're just going to run the clock out the whole time. And I ended up losing two or I think 3 picks to auto pick, which I queued up some people. Some were there, some were not, but I ended up, they auto drafted Jonathan Taylor for me, which I'm not stoked about because I don't know what's going on with that. But that was the auto pick. And then the one that I did have queued up that I did end up getting was Kirk Cousins later on. So I was happy about that. But yeah, it's just one of those things. I got the first 5. I felt okay about it. And then everything just went out. And I was like, oh no, this is not good.
Yeah, that's a bummer. I also just experienced I honestly, no fault of my own. Sleeper just completely bugged out on me during a redraft that Mike and I were doing over the weekend. And I autoed my first 2 picks, which was a big bummer because I got Cooper Kupp and Patrick Mahomes, who would not have drafted and just fell to me because they were the top of the auto list. And literally every time I opened up Sleeper, it would just freeze and I couldn't make a pick. And so I managed to get it open on my computer, and it was still really laggy, but I managed to set a queue for the rest of the draft, and it still didn't work great. But it was a mess. I think it had something to do with the fact it was like 16 teams, maybe, and the sleeper update, the big update they had, has just been kind of tragic ever since it came out. But I feel you with the auto picks. They're a bummer, especially when it's like the higher draft picks. But it's season long fantasy, man. You'll have a chance to recover it. There's going to be those waiver wire guys that come out of nowhere, and if you are keen enough, you can pick them up and save your team.
Yeah.
Maybe we can talk a little bit about some of those guys by talking about, maybe we just each go with one sleeper that we all like here to answer Josh's question about who our favorite sleepers are, and we can just kind of go through it pretty quick. But I'll just go in order that I see you guys. Eric, do you want to go first?
Absolutely. I'm not going to dig too much into the one to avoid, but I really just wanted to say it. Don't take Aaron Rodgers. Anyway, so
cutting that out.
For my don't cut it out because it's correct. So he's booty cheeks, Josh. You don't want him. He's disgusting.
Oh my goodness gracious.
So, screw off to ayahuasca or wherever he's from.
Okay, get to the sleeper. That's not a place. That's not a place.
Yeah.
We've talked about this before.
My sleeper for redraft this year would be Nico Collins with the Texans. I like what I saw so far in the preseason. I liked him last year. I'm glad that they have a quarterback that I think could be pretty good at throwing the football. And he's going very late in drafts, and I think Nico Collins could be a guy that you could get late. That I'm not saying he's going to go out and win your fantasy league for you, but could he be a okay flex play or a fill-in where you need to here and there? I like his upside.
Okay. Evan, what about you?
Yeah, so I'm going to go with Devon A-Chain. Why? Because he's just so explosive.
He's broken in Madden.
And what does that offense love is an explosive running back. Mostert never stays healthy. Jeff Wilson already hurt.
Yep.
A-Chain already hurt as well, but he needs to touch the ball 3 times in a game and he could have 180 yards.
Yeah, at least the injuries aren't stacking like with Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson was my sleeper pick until he now has hand and abdomen, and I think his butt hurts. So not good, all 3 of those. What about you? What about you? How do I mute you? What about you, Mike?
Yeah. So we hit on earlier, like the household name in Baltimore right now is Odell Beckham. And then everybody's real hot and bothered about Zay Flowers, the rookie. Rashad Bateman was good at football when he was on the field. And he's a year 3 receiver on an offense that is increasing their passing volume. And he's going outside the top 50 wide receivers on ESPN right now. I looked it up before we hopped on here. And Josh, this is a suggestion directly to your team. Like, if there's a guy you can throw on IR, if there's a way you can make a roster spot, like go grab you some Rashad Bateman, wait 2 weeks, and just see how those wide receivers shake out, because there's a very good chance that he's the number 1 or number 2 option there after Mark Andrews. And if Lamar Jackson, he's passed for 3,200 yards before, let's say he passes for 4,000 yards or 3,500 or 3,600, let me get that wide receiver, see what happens. Rashad Bateman season.
I got a guy in a similar vein, Mike. I think that there's a guy on a team where the number 1 target leader will most likely be a tight end, a guy that they recently acquired in Darren Waller on the Giants. And I think the wide receiver right behind him in terms of target leader and target share, I like Isaiah Hodgins. And this is a guy that you can basically get for free. He is either undrafted or the very last round. And I think he showed a lot in those last couple of games at the end of the season last year. And I think he will be a consistent targeted guy in this offense, a guy that you can be happy to flex. So Isaiah Hodgins would be my guy there.
Josh, I think you have him on your team, correct?
Yeah, it's funny how some of these sleepers line up.
Okay,
yeah,
great. Happy to hear that.
I have a few that I've followed Eric almost directly on, because I am horrible with just, I guess, those late draft guys, the sleepers, or the stinker rounds, or whatever you want to call it. But I'm pretty close to batting 0 with a lot of those guys towards the end, who I think like, yeah, that'll work out, and it doesn't really. So I take a lot of big swings, and sometimes 90% of the time it's a big miss.
Well, you're doing that right, because let me tell you, I mean, I don't think they're stinker rounds. I think those are the league-winning rounds. I really do. Those last 4 rounds or so, that's where if you find a guy and you hit on it, you can win your league that way. So those are guys that are worth looking into. But it does take, like you said, it takes the amount of research to look into the guys that aren't as popular, and you kind of need to stat dive and all that stuff. But I definitely feel you.
Or he's just building up to talk about Isaiah Pacheco again.
I love some Isaiah Pacheco. Yeah, much to Mike's chagrin. I love some Isaiah Pacheco, mostly because I took a just complete flyer on him in the 5th round of all my rookie drafts, and he ended up being usable. And if you're usable, and I got you in the 5th round, you're my new best friend.
To the people at home, if you love 16 carries for 47 yards and no touchdowns and no
a
catches,
touchdown,
sometimes he'll get a touchdown. Pacheco's your guy.
All the time he'll get a touchdown. Okay.
I do want to say though, real quick, that I thought something really smart that Josh did is he got stuck with that Jonathan Taylor auto draft, but looking at his team, he did pick up Evan Hull, which could be a really nice value if Jonathan Taylor's out for any period of time or gets traded. That's a good way to back up a pick you're not sure about.
It could be, but it's also kind of nasty because, like, is it going to be Evan Hull or is it going to be Zach Moss or is it going to be my Lord and Savior Deion Jackson, who I picked up in a lot of waiver wires last year and had a game, and I was like, thank you for that one game, my sweet prince.
It's true, and we're not sure, but it's a good way to try to ensure you get back on that Jonathan Taylor.
At least taking one of those guys with the chance that he does take over. I see that for sure. Okay, well, we're getting up on time here, so I want to go through at least one or two more of these questions that you have. Maybe we can each do our favorite draft position real quick in a 12-man PPR. Just go around the horn. I really like the turn. I like 11-12 this season. It feels good. I like the 12 because I like just double shotting, just wide receiver, running back. It feels like it sends the rest of the league into a little bit of a panic whenever that happens. So I like to cause chaos. What about you, Eric?
If I'm doing Dynasty, like Superflex, like we normally play in.
No, we're talking redraft.
Oh, redraft. Okay, so if we're doing redraft, I want the end of the turn. I want 11 or 12. I like the value of what I can get at the turn there. Redraft value.
Okay. Yep. Evan?
I think I typically like right now in redraft 3-4. It feels pretty solid to be able to go get that guy, to be able to build the team around, not have to worry about it, be able to solidify a player at a position and kind of allow me to attack the other one.
I liked Mike getting that number 2 overall, taking Tyreek Hill in our redraft. That was pretty spicy. I like to see that. What about you, Mike? Is it 2? Do you like 2?
No, so I like taking the 10 or the 3 because at the 3 you're able to take one of those top tier players, whether it's Chase, Jefferson, and I throw Hill in there because Hill with Tua was on pace with Jefferson. Or at the 10 mark, you're able to get them, and then you're able to look at the 2 teams that are between you in the turn and be able to say, like, oh, they already picked a quarterback. They're not picking another one. I can wait. Where if you're in the 6-7 range, you're just like, oh God, like what's going to happen here? You don't need to galaxy brand it. You just need to real quick, check 2 teams. What do they have already? Cool. So just my 2 cents.
Cool. Well, another one that I think we can do quickly, best insider to follow. You're doing it. It's us. So easy peasy. No, we are obviously not professionals by any means, but actually go to if you want to check out Mike, if you're on Twitter at all, Mike's Twitter. Mike knows a lot of good names and he follows and quote tweets a lot of quote X's, quote posts. I don't even know anymore.
What are we doing with that now?
What are we doing? That's a great question. As a species, what are we doing? Can we make the next hour talk? No, Mike also, like I said, has a lot of good guys that he tweets out and follows. Cool. I try to keep that up too. I don't do as much of the Xing, but also, there's a really great account, and I'm sorry if I'm giving away a secret, but I don't think it's as much of a secret these days. The 32 Beat Writers Twitter account is very solid, and it's basically just beat reporters from every single team that this account tweets out, and so you're constantly getting insider news about all these different players that are the sources are very close to the teams. So I really like to use that as a resource personally. I think it's a great account to follow, and shout out to those guys. I mean, I think they do their own podcast, so might be worth checking that out as well. And then do we want to do, I think we have time for maybe best punishment. We don't really do a lot of those, but I think Mike has a home league where he has a pretty good punishment. I guess I gave mine also in my home league of having to watch a bad movie. This year, the bad movie was, I forgot the name, but it was the Sean Payton movie with Kevin Smith. or Kevin James rather. Yeah. And someone had to write like a 2,500 word essay on it. It's really good. But yeah, Mike, do you have one from your home league?
Yeah, I mean the home league, we did the Waffle House Challenge last year, which is just such a classic. Little brother lost it, so shout out Jay. Sorry to the homie. But something that I saw this morning that I thought was absolutely hilarious is the last place team has to caddy for the first place team and play or pay for their round of golf. I think Eric sent that to me. So funny, such a good idea. Just if we're in a league that we have the ability to do that, we should do that, because I'm trying to get Corey to caddy for me.
Hey, I'd be a better caddy than a golf player because I have never golfed.
You can hold beers and hold clubs, so that's a win.
That sounds like something I can do, man. Yeah. I've held a beer before. You might not get them back full. You might get like a empty beer bottle back. But
so if Corey lost the league, would his punishment be he has to golf?
Even worse.
Don't do that.
I saw one where you had to try to enter the U.S. Open.
That one was great. I've seen that one.
The guy shoots like a 135. Just absolute disaster.
These guys are out there shooting 68s.
Yeah.
It's like a 140.
Josh, what's the best punishment you've ever seen, or is it just the Waffle House one?
So the one that our league did recently this year was golf related. Not the best one that I've seen. Some of them I see on the internet and they just crack me up. But the one that our league did last year was last place had to golf full 18 holes in a LPGA outfit. So the photo evidence is gold. Shout out to Cody. And here's the funny thing: a couple of the other guys went out to join him. He kicked the shit out of them in a dress. And just,
that's great. I mean,
he was out there just he was having a damn good day out on the course. But
that's the secret.
Yeah, I guess I told him, I was like, dude, you should never. Or a lot of people were saying like, don't ever play golf without wearing that. I mean, obviously that's gonna work now.
Yeah.
But one of my other favorites that I love is the from a musician's perspective, I think this is hilarious and just so shameful. But the playing the recorder on the street corner and like having to make $100 in tips before you.
Oh no! Like the $100 in tips makes that really.
I've seen some where it's like $20, but like people carry 20s around, you know. And I feel like I feel like personally, like if you are on like the street corner and you do something like that and you write a sign that says, "Hey, I finished last in my fantasy football league. Can you help me make it?" I feel like that's cheating. I feel like you should just have to go out there and sit on the corner and fucking play hot cross buns for 4 hours and see what you can make happen.
Your sign should have to say like funds to record my next album.
Yeah, right. Like, God, this guy sucks, dude. Yeah,
but I kind of want to see that album be made. Maybe that would give you more tips though.
I've seen the enter a local bodybuilding competition too, which has been kicked around in our league.
God,
and that's
so
like
funny.
that I would be, oh my God.
So
I don't know if I would never come back from that emotionally. It would be terrible.
Tough. That is tough. Okay. Awesome. Well, I think we are definitely getting up on time here. I don't know if you got the notice to do this, Josh, but last year, every week of the season, we basically did our top dogs, where basically we just do positionally QB, running back, wide receiver, tight end, who we think will be the number one at their position every week. You don't have to give yours if you don't have it prepared. That's totally fine. But I think we will end the show going through ours and then give you one last chance to tell everyone, you know, where to find your music, and we'll kind of cap it off there.
Yeah, I did not prepare for that. I'm sorry about that, but I will be listening and taking notes for sure.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get started with QBs. I will say mine right now because it made Mike really, really mad, and he tried to change the show doc a bunch, and I didn't allow that to happen. It stayed, and it is Justin Herbert. Mike, you're not intimidating me. I'm the furthest away from you I could possibly be in the United States of America.
I'm getting on a plane in an hour.
Me too. Okay, so I mean, Justin Herbert goes against the Dolphins. I just think it'll be a super high scoring game. So I put him there. I like his chances to finish number 1 overall. And yeah, Eric, do you want to go ahead and go with yours?
Mm-hmm. My QB1 for this week is going to be the prince that was promised, Trevor Lawrence. I don't know if you guys knew this, but he's going up against Houston, who was absolute booty cheeks last year and was a Hail Mary and 2-point conversion away from being the number 1 overall pick.
I don't
playing
think
the Colts.
He's playing the Colts, my
Oh,
friend.
I'm sorry, the Colts. You're right. I'm messed up.
Easy to get those two confused. I mean, they're both
Same division. Yeah, they both have
in the
both have
NFL.
bad quarterbacks. It's fine. But the Colts have nothing, and Trevor Lawrence is going to put up a ton of points. And I'm
I
already
just got a stress headache.
Well, the OG FF Mike Cash did say it. So anyway, but no, Colts are bad. Trevor Lawrence is good. That's my analysis because now my train of thoughts gone.
Perfect, Evan.
Yeah, I'm going with Homer bias and going with Jalen Hurts playing New England. Honestly, I think that offense is bad, and I think the Eagles' defense is good, and I think that's going to put Jalen Hurts in a lot of positive field position situations, and he's going to be able to get a lot of touchdowns because of it.
Okay, and Mike.
I went with the other side of the field in the Herbert-Tua showdown. I went with Tua Tagovailoa. He's had a couple of quarterback one spike weeks last year, and I think if there's a defense he's going to do it against, it's the Chargers in a big shootout game in the first week of the season. So let's see it. Big shootout.
I love it. Yeah, every time you get a chance to put Tua in, you should before he breaks, right? Okay, moving on to the running backs. I had Austin Eckler to stack with Justin Herbert. I just see it, like I said, as a high-powered, high offense game. And yeah, let's get over 100 yards and a couple tutties for Austin Eckler via Justin Herbert to stack on top of Herbert's 6 touchdowns and 600 yards. Eric?
I had to double check the team to make sure this time because I'm not going off memory after that. I got Mr. Bijan Robinson because it is the Falcons versus the Panthers, and I think the Panthers are not good. And I think they're going to show off their shiny new toy and just let Bijan run loose. And I'm not a huge Desmond Ridder fan, and the more that they can run it, I think they're going to try to. I know Arthur Smith wants to run. So I am a big fan of Bijan this week.
The community, I think, would erupt if Bijan Robinson, rookie, week 1, is also the RB1 in fantasy. Like, oh my goodness. So many biases confirmed.
If he does that in his RB1 week 1, how much do you think you can trade him for?
There's not a number, right? Like, you just take someone's team?
At that point, right?
Okay. All right. Evan?
Yeah, so I went with Nick Chubb this week going against Cincinnati. Frankly, I think Burrow's going to be a little limpy on his leg, and I think that's going to cause them to not do as well. And I think that Cleveland is a sneaky push for this game, and I think they're going to run, limit Burrow's touches on the ball, limit the ball going into that offense's hands, and I think Nick Chubb goes for 25 rushes for 130 yards.
All right. Yep. Gotta love some Nick Chubb. And Mike?
So the Texans play the Ravens this week, for those of you that didn't know. The Texans gave up the most rushing yards allowed in the league last year, and they didn't do a lot to address the defense other than, Will Anderson, amazing pass rusher. He'd have to be Superman to fix this defense by himself. So I'm going to go with J.K. Dobbins, who already averages over 5 yards a carry, is on an explosive offense, is easy because he's going against the Texans. So I think I might just pick whoever's playing the Texans every week.
Every week. That's solid. I think we were doing a little bit of that this week. Weren't we doing that a little bit last year? I forgot what team it was, but we just kept dogging.
It was probably the Texans again.
It might have been actually. Yeah. Now that you say it,
yeah.
I think the Seahawks were also actually in there because they were a historically bad run defense. So every time there was a team with a decent running back, like it's the Seahawks, we were like, yeah, that guy.
Evan, what you got?
Do you think that the Texans are the worst run defense in the NFL?
Again?
Yeah.
Oh, God. I think they're going to be pretty freaking close.
Do you think they're going to be worse than the Rams?
Do the Rams trade Aaron Donald?
Not yet.
That's the question.
If the Rams trade Aaron Donald, it's the Rams. But if they don't,
But we don't know. And
you want to do
like
another water bet? You're going 1-on-1 Rams Texans run defense.
Yeah,
Water bet.
rushing yards at the end of the season.
I like it.
I'm in.
Okay.
Okay.
So if the Texans are worse than the Rams, I win.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
It is interesting because the Rams do have Aaron Donald. Obviously, he is a spoken for all-time great, Hall of Famer guy. Will Anderson should also be really, really, really good, right? So like there is like a little bit of a comparison there where they have the one guy and that's it.
A quick question. Did those two players, let's say adding Will Anderson and subtracting Aaron Donald, does that equal 1,000 yards of rushing? Because that's the difference between them last year.
The math checks out.
No, but D'Amico Ryans.
He was there. Well, no, he wasn't, but
All right.
we'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see.
I see. Okay.
I'm in.
We gotta move forward here, but I like it. I like the J.K. Dobbins pick for sure. All right, let's take it into wide receivers. I took J. Jeff. I'm sorry. I know he's going against the Bucks. I'm really sorry, Josh, but I think J. Jeff puts it on you guys coming out the gate week 1.
That would have been my pick. So yeah, I think that's pretty clear.
Like they still have who's your you guys have a pretty good cornerback that I can't remember his name, but it's pretty decent.
Lost on me.
You have Stingley, and I think he's pretty good, but I just think what are you giving me a face for? Stingley's pretty good.
Stingley plays for the Texans.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I was looking at the wrong depth chart. Who's the guy I'm thinking of, Evan? You have him on the top of your head, right, Evan? Who am I thinking of? The Bucks have that one good CB.
No, they do not.
They do too.
Carlton Davis.
Yeah.
Jameel Dean.
Oh yeah.
Is he good?
I think good's a stretch there, big dog.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look at his rating, but I saw some clips of him last year that were.
I mean, he plays corner better than any of us do, but
yeah.
True. I will. Okay, that's fair enough. Anyway, that's all suffice to say that J. Jeff is better than anything they have, so I think he will put it on. So moving on to Eric.
So this kind of just stacks with my Trevor Lawrence being QB1 this week, that I think Calvin Ridley's going to go off and be wide receiver 1 this week. And I feel like that's really, really bold, but I'm just going to put myself out there and do that. With the Colts trading Stephon Gilmore to the Cowboys, I don't think they have much there. I don't trust their defense, and I think Calvin Ridley can put up a bunch.
All right. That is a stack to have. I will say that. Evan?
Yeah, so Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to be my go-to. I think it's 13-plus targets this week, and I think that leads to over 100 yards. So hopefully that works out.
All right. Jamel Dean is a top 10 corner, by the way, just like everywhere, So just saying. Mike, what about yours?
So my top 5 corners are so my wide receiver would be Tyreek Hill to stack with Tua, because I just think that they're going to, if Tua is going to be number 1, it's because either Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle is close to number 1. So I'll take the swing on the shootout, see how it goes. I feel good about it. He's going to top 2,000 yards this year, according to him. So
I do like that we're taking stacks. That seemed to be a winning move for Evan, who won our Top Dogs showdown last year. Okay, and then finally we go to the tight ends. I took Darren Waller, who I have mentioned in the past that I really, really like. He gets a pretty nice little week 1 showdown with the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. And I think that Daniel Jones is going to show us all what we have already sort of assumed, that Darren Waller will be his number 1 target and will sort of return to his couple of years ago form where he was in the conversation of Kelsey, Andrews, and Waller. So I like Waller that week 1 matchup. Kind of in the same vein as you, Mike, getting Tua is let's take Darren Waller while he is not broken and just call it good. So that's mine. Eric, what about you?
For me, it is going to be the Ravens' Mark Andrews. It's Mark Andrews. If Travis Kelce's not playing, is there anybody you want more than Mark Andrews? I know he's showed up on the injury list, but I think he's going to play. I'm feeling good about it. And until Lamar gets some of that rapport with his wide receivers, I still think he's going to look at Andrews, and I think this might be one of Andrews' biggest games this season.
Okay. Evan?
Yeah, so I was kind of rushing in the show notes and did not realize that you also took Waller. So I'm going to audible here and call an audible real quick and go with Evan Ingram. Why? Okay. Because Shaq Leonard is already questionable. So if Shaq doesn't play, who's going to guard Evan Ingram?
All right. Fair enough. And what about you, Mike?
I'm back. I'm hooked. I'm ready.
Oh, no.
Kyle Edward Patrick Pitts the fourth. He's going for 150 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Desmond Ritter's only passing for 180 and 2 touchdowns. All right? I'm all in. I'm ready to be hurt again.
Kyle Pitts gets 2 rushing touchdowns as the fullback.
No, I think it's a plus matchup against the Panthers. I think he can do some serious damage down the seams. They don't have a strong linebacker core, but yeah, it's really, I didn't want to pick Kelce, and then after I didn't want to pick Andrews because I like him better next week, so I'm like gaming the game a little. So
Kyle Pitts has to be better than last year, right?
God, the quarterback, the situation has to be better,
right?
We're gonna say it's gonna be 2029, and we're gonna be like, this is Kyle Pitts' year. It has to be better. Baker Mayfield has to be better than Tom Brady at 50.
Most tight ends break out in their 7th season. So
we're all in on 29-year-old tight ends on their 7th quarterback.
Okay. All right. Well, those are our top dogs. And we shall recap next week and see where we're at. But that sort of takes it to the end of our show. Josh, do you want to do one last shout out for your music, where people can find you, that kind of thing?
Yeah. First of all, man, thank you guys for having me. This was a lot of fun. I appreciate it. I'll be keeping track of the water bets and listening in throughout the season for hot takes and hot tips. I just appreciate it. Anything music related, you can find social media. It's just Josh Plummer Music. And then I guess that's really it. We got a couple EPs, 3 EPs on Spotify if you want to give it a listen or throw it on a playlist and go to sleep and hit the whatever loop around button and just 250 plays. I think it's me $1, so let it rip.
Okay.
So
heck yeah,
that's all I got, man. I just I appreciate it, and I'll let you guys know how my team is doing, and I definitely took some notes and have a few guys on the watch list thanks to you, so I appreciate it.
Of course, yeah. Let us know. Maybe we can do like a mid-season check-in, see how you're doing, and maybe suggest some trades to try to help your team out if you need it. If you're going, 6-0, then maybe you don't need us, and you're good from the start.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. All right. Well, that is the end of the show. Thank you to anyone that checked us out. We certainly appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube, this is where the show is coming out first and foremost, guys. We release the podcast audio only a day later if you're into that kind of thing. But if you want to subscribe and like our videos and tune into the live stream, we greatly appreciate any of the support that you guys can give us. With that, have a great night. Till next time. Let's watch some football, guys. Thursday. Let's go.
2 days till football, baby.
Come on.
Let's go.
Man.
College football